All right. So hello, everyone. I am Rita Williams, and I'm so proud to be the Nonprofit Initiative Lead for the Atlanta Black Chambers. I just want to introduce for the first time the phenomenal leadership team. We have Ms. Rosalind Lett, the CEO of the Infopreneurs, Mrs. Pamela Parker, Swing Into Their Dreams, the CEO. We have Shirley Xavier of the, you know what, is the YE Foundation?
Yay Foundation.
Yay, that's right. When I looked at it, I knew that was not right. The Yay Foundation, and of course myself, and I am the CEO of Fine Tunes Treasure. And so we're so delighted. This leadership team came together quickly after last month's launch, and we're norming and forming, and just so glad to be connecting with you all. So our agenda, and this is really going to be an agenda that we have adopted. Of course, there will always be times where we might deviate a little bit, but we're always going to start off with the sign-in because we want to make sure we capture all the phenomenal nonprofit leaders who are going to be joining us each month. We're going to have an icebreaker just to give us a chance to make some connections and hopefully put a smile on our faces before we get into the meat and potatoes. Then we'll have our speaker introduction. And then, of course, the reason why, or the main reason we're coming together, is a speaker presentation where we are enlisting the best of the best to come and share knowledge to help all of us grow our nonprofits. And then we'll have a question and answer period in which we'll be able to engage the speaker and make sure we ask any clarifications and get more knowledge. And then we're going to have what we're calling drop one and look ahead. And so we decided as a team that we definitely want to provide the opportunity for everyone to share their nonprofits as well as maybe an event that they're doing, but we just don't want the entire time or the entire chat to be busy with our promotions. And so we're going to ask everyone to wait until the end when we have our drop one period. And that's where you'll have the opportunity to share your name, your nonprofit, and information about one event that you want to share. All right. So that will be our drop one, and that will happen near the end. And after the drop one, we're going to share any next steps to help us prepare for the next huddle. All right. So with that, we're going to ask everyone to sign in. You can access the QR code if you need to, but I'm also going to go off of presentation mode so I can drop the link into the chat. So whichever way is convenient for you to access the sign-in sheet, that would be wonderful. And let me make sure that it's coming through. All right, does everybody see the link in the chat? I wanted to make sure okay, all right. I have too many options to choose as far as who I want to send a chat to. Just want to make sure I have the right one. All right, so once again, you can access the QR code as I go back into presentation mode that's on the screen, or you can click on the link that is in the chat. And we'll give everybody about 30 seconds to access this QR code if you would like, because then we're going to go into our icebreaker with the phenomenal Shirley Xavier. All right, Shirley, I'll advance the screen and then I will make sure all of our colleagues are admitted through the waiting room.
All right, awesome.
Shirley Xavier, you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rita. And great introduction. Welcome everyone to our call this afternoon, our huddle for the Nonprofit Initiative. We're super excited to have you here. And we want to kind of loosen things up because especially with the weather outside, you know how a lot of great things are in play, but the weather, situations, people may try to interrupt that, right? But we're not going to have that tonight. So I want to go ahead and introduce to you guys our emoji icebreaker, okay? Our emoji icebreaker. So as you can see on the next screen here, I have actually put on the slide 11 emojis that you can actually choose from to let us know how you are feeling at this moment in time. Okay, so let's kick this off by you choosing one or two of these emojis. Don't overthink it and just drop the emoji in the chat. And feel free to come off of mute if you can, and if you're brave enough to shout it out loud. But just the emojis alone. You don't have to put any words in the chat. Just one or two emojis. Let us know how you're feeling. So while you're deciding which emoji, let me kind of go over the emojis that you see on the screen. So the emoji can be found either in the Zoom chat keys, or you can actually just use the chat itself. So if you want to put it on your screen as a react button, you can, or you could put it in the chat. So you have your brain, which is the brain emoji that you're in deep thought, the sleepy emoji that you're tired and you need more coffee, the curious emoji, the one with the little finger on the chin, that you're curious and open-minded. The little queasy face that you're struggling a bit, but you're present. This just a regular smile emoji is that you're feeling good and excited. The strength emoji, which is that you're motivated and ready to work. Listen, a glass of wine, child, because it's giving I need a moment energy, okay? The emoji with the hearts is that you're loving the vibe, you're grateful to be here. The fire emoji, because you fired up and ready to make an impact. The smile emoji with a little sweat on the top is that you're a little overwhelmed, but you're pushing through. And the party emoji, because you're celebrating something or you're in a great mood. So I see you guys in the chat. I see Sheena with the fire emoji and the strength emoji. That's right. That means that she's fired up and she is motivated to get working. A lot of you guys, I see you're in a great mood. Ayana. Oh, Pam had to be different. She put the little halo on the head. So I guess that she means she's feeling heaven sent, right? Okay, we got Jennifer. She's feeling good. Rita, she is fired up, guys. Triple fired up. Jennifer, okay, Jennifer is feeling kind of cool. All right, she got the little shy emoji. All right, now let me see. We got Tamara. Who else is on the line? If you haven't dropped your emoji, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But this is our way of just really kind of just checking in the pulses with you guys to see how you feeling. We got Wendy Taylor on the screen. She got that cool emoji on. Okay. Forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. Kevin Shay? Okay, hopefully I said that right. But she is feeling good and excited. Super excited to have you guys here. So for me, I am fired up, and just like Sheena, I am motivated and ready to get to work. So double fist. So guys, I thank you guys for participating in our icebreaker. This was really fun. So next time that you guys come for our huddle, we'll have another exciting icebreaker. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our other leadership team partner, Miss Pamela Parker.
Great evening, everyone. I am so happy that everybody is here and that you all are ready to receive our dynamic speaker for this evening. I am super excited to introduce to you Miss Rosalind Lett. She is a wonderful member of our team. And a little bit about Rosalind, she is the Chief Executive Officer and Principal Strategist of the Infopreneurs, which is a strategy impact consulting group that specializes in grant proposals, writing strategies, and she helps nonprofit organizations. She is instrumental in helping nonprofits secure funding, which is why she's going to have a lot of important nuggets for us tonight. So if you don't have a pen and a pad, please get one out because you'll need one, because she will be giving you knowledge on how to secure funding for workforce development, health, and literacy. She is also the former director of the Clayton County Libraries, where she was innovative in securing, get this guys, a grant for over $1 million in funding. She is the doctor of nonprofit funding, which is why we have her on tonight. Her talents stem from her earning a master's in library and information sciences at Atlanta University and also an MBA in international business and global management at Georgia State. I am honored to present to you our speaker for tonight, Rosalind Lett, who has a clear passion to empower nonprofit organizations. The floor is yours, Rosalind.
All right, Rosalind, I stopped sharing my screen so that you can take it over.
Unmute, Rosalind.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening. I hope that you will leave here tonight a little less confused about grants and how you get them and what you do to prepare to make sure that you are in the right position for them. So I think have I been given the rights to share my screen?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, let's see what's not going on. Go back. Okay.
Rosalind, go down to the bottom of your screen where you see a green arrow and it'll say share. Click the share button.
Okay, I've clicked the share button.
Okay, and when you click share, it'll take you, you'll see different options and it'll say screen. Click screen. You see
Okay.
that? Okay, there you go.
Okay, you can see it?
Yes.
All right, so let me start in presentation mode here. All right. All right, can you see my screen? All right, great. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about positioning your nonprofit to be grant ready and fundable. And I'm pretty sure some of you did not know you needed to be grant ready. You just thought you just get an RFP and you start writing, but it's a little bit more than they've given you an introduction to me. But one thing they didn't tell you, for the past 20 plus years, I've been writing grants. I started writing grants years ago under my mentor, who was an excellent grant writer. And then I started reading grants before I started writing grants, which is really helpful in your writing process. So let's jump right into it. Did you know that grant writing is 80% research and 20% writing? I'm sure most of you thought it was the opposite, but it is not. The research part is what the funders are looking for, the evidence that you have done all of the things that you need to do to make sure that your program is really making an impact in the community. So let's talk about grant readiness. Grant readiness is capacity, clarity, and credibility. Now, what this means, capacity means that your organization has the people, the resources, the systems, everything you need in place. This shows that you can do the program that you're writing this grant to get funding for. Clarity means that you have clarity about your mission, that you're not all over the place, because when they read your mission, they should be able to understand exactly what you do. So there needs to be perfect clarity. And now with the taking away of DEI, you may need to revisit your mission statement and take out those words that make it look like you're specifically targeting people who are minorities, diverse, that kind of thing. You can say, I'm now serving a underserved population, or something that doesn't necessarily identify the characteristics of that population. And then credibility, your organization needs to be credible. You need to have your legal things in order. You need to have your finances in order. And you need to have a good reputation in the community. So people, when they hear the name of your organization, should have a feeling of trust that they'd want to give their money to you. When you're writing a grant, you're not just writing the grant, you're building a case for investment. The funders are investing in your organization and they're looking for a return on their investment. So there are 6 elements of grant readiness that we're going to talk briefly about tonight. The first one is legal and financial compliance. So what does this mean? When you started your business, you got an EIN number, you got incorporated by the Secretary of State's office, you got your 501c3, but you also need to have filed your 990, which is your nonprofit income tax form every year. You should have a board of directors that are active. You should have up-to-date bylaws for your board of directors. You should also have policies for your board of directors, like conflict of interest policies or policies concerning whistleblowers or those kind of things. So you should have all of that stuff in line. You should by now have set up a business bank account for your organization. And one thing that you might want to think about, if your organization has an email address that ends with Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, you will think about investing in your domain name, because the funders want to know that you have invested in your own business before they want to invest in you. So these are just some of the things that they look for. Then we go on to the mission and the program clarity. We talked a little bit about your mission being clear. It needs to be clear as to who you serve, when you serve them, where you serve them, what exactly you do for them. All of that should be clear in your mission statement and in your SMART goals and objectives that you have for your organization. For your program, you should be very detailed and very clear about what your program is and who your program serves. If you don't have values for your organization, you may want to add some values, because that will help you with your program clarity. But you want to make sure that you have laid out your programs, and a program is something that solves a problems. A lot of you may have a lot of events, a lot of activities, but you call those programs, a program solves a problem. So go back and look to make sure that your programs are solving a problem. These activities can help to solve the problem, but they will not by themselves solve the problem. The next thing is your budget and your financials. You should have an operating budget for your organization, but you should also have program specific budgets. So if you have 2 programs, like a financial assistance program, and you have a budget, it should be specifically for that program, because when you start to write a grant, they're going to ask you about your program budget, and you will tell them whether you're asking for funding for the entire program or you're asking for funding for just a part of that program. But you'll need to be able to show them your program budget. In looking at your impact data and your outcomes, a lot of times we go out and we do a lot of things in the community, but we're not recording that impact. We're not recording that data. You need to have some baseline. If you're training people, you need to know where they were when they started with you and where they are after 6 months or after a year. You need to record that data. They're looking for the evidence of outcomes. You need to, as an outcome, make sure you're increasing their knowledge, increasing their health, or making their health better, or you're changing their behavior in some ways. So you're going to have to measure those. So this is where your measurable goals and objectives come in, because if you have those measurements in place, you'll know the things that you need to do to say that this is what we have accomplished. But you really need to record that impact data. Not just saying we served 500 people or we served 500 kids and taught them financial literacy, but we taught 500 kids financial literacy and 85% of them set up a budget, or 85% of them opened a savings account. So you need to demonstrate that you have actually presented an outcome for them. There's the organizational capacity. That means that your organization has the staff, you have the systems, you have everything in place to say that you can do this. You have volunteers, you have leadership that are qualified to actually present your program. So you don't want to have people who are not qualified, because one of the things you're going to have to submit when you submit that grant is resumes for your key people on your programs. They want to look to see that these people have some credentials and the qualifications to do what you're saying they're going to do. And then you have to have the mindset for actually getting funding, you have to start thinking like an investor. You want to make sure that you are aligning yourself with the right funders. You don't want to end up applying for a lot of grants that you don't qualify for or that don't align with your program. Because one of the key things that you need to do is align your programs with the funders programs, because this is not about you. This is about the funders. They all have priorities. They give to people who are working in areas that play into their priorities. So you want to make sure that what you're doing aligns with what they're giving money for. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and wasting theirs. But you definitely want to start thinking about where else are there people out there who are giving to organizations like yours. And you want to identify those folks to know who's giving to organizations so you know who to apply for. Okay. Now, most nonprofits don't lose grants. They lose time applying when they're not ready. So you need to be ready to apply when you apply. And a lot of times you apply too soon, or you're hesitant to apply because you don't know if you're ready. I want you to think about the things that I showed you in the last slide, because all of these things are things that are going to help you to get ready. And you really do need to be ready, because the competition out there, because of the lack of federal funding and it's being taken away, there's a lot more competition for foundation grants and for corporate grants. So you want to be ready when you apply for these grants. Now, there's some myths that we need to contend with and we need to kind of get out of the way. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about those myths. One of those is, I have my 501c3. Now I'm ready to write a grant. No, you're not. You are ready to now get donations and tell people that they are tax deductible. But that doesn't make you ready. It makes you eligible for grants, but it doesn't make you ready to apply. You need to make sure you have all your documentation, all your paperwork in order, and your financials in order for you to be ready to write a grant. Once I get the grant, I can spend it whatever I need for whatever I want. I can do what I want with that money because I got it. No, you can't. When you start and apply for a grant, you're going to give them a line item budget. And that budget is going to outline exactly what you're going to do with every dime of that budget. And if you have to deviate from that, say, for instance, you said, I'm going to buy 10 computers, they're $200, that's $2,000. Well, say when you finally get the money, the computers have gone down to $150. Now you're going to have some money left over. But what you have to do is go back to the funder, tell them how much money you have left over, why that circumstance is as it is, and ask them, is it okay for me now to spend this on something else? So they have to give you the approval to spend that money. Every bit of money that you get in a grant is restricted money, and it is restricted to what you put on paper that you were going to spend it for, unless you have gotten express written permission from the funder to change that spending pattern. Another myth: after starting a nonprofit, I can get a grant to keep it going. No, the funders do not want to be your sole support. They want to know that you have support from your community, that you have corporate sponsors, that you have revenue streams, that you can keep your business afloat, and that their money is going to enhance what you already have and enhance the program that you're trying to provide. You could say, I should apply for all grants that offer the amount of money that I need. Nope. Once again, you're chasing grants and chasing dollars. No, what you want to do is align with those that align with what you do. I don't care what the amount is and what you need. You need to find those funders that are more probable to fund your organization and what you are doing. And as a nonprofit, I cannot have a revenue stream to make money. And wrong answer. You need a revenue stream. If you are training people, then you need to have some part of that training be for a fee, even if it's a discounted fee. You need to have your donors to give you monthly donations so you have a steady stream of income, because the funders want to know that you're going to be around. They're not going to give you money if they look at your balance sheet and look at your profit and loss statement and see that you don't have any money. You haven't made any, you have more expenses than you have income. They want to know that you have money and that you can keep your business afloat. Okay. There are a couple more myths that I want to go over. You can apply without a program budget. No, you must always have a program budget for whatever program you're trying to get funding for. You need to already have a budget for that. And in some instances, you will be applying for money for the entire program, but sometimes you may be only applying for a certain part of the program. Say you have an after-school program and you need a van to transport the kids back and forth from schools to your location. That would be a part of your program budget, but not the entire budget. So you would be applying only for that budget. With your programs, one thing I failed to mention earlier is that you need to have a logic model for every program that you have, not every activity, every program. And the logic model will spell out your activities, your resources that you need to get these done, what actually you're going to do, and your outcomes. So that way you will know which parts of those need funding, which parts of those are generating your outcomes, what you need to be tracking. Another myth, we'll figure it out after we get the money. Nope, you won't, because you're not going to get the money because you haven't figured it out. They want to know before they give you $1 that you have a plan, and the plan is logical, the plan is realistic, and that you have the capacity to make that plan come to life. There's another one. We just need to hire somebody to write the grant for us. Even if you hired me, you need to be grant ready, because I can't pull information about your organization out of the sky. You need to already have your background information together. You need to have your financials together. You need to have all of your certifications and anything else that you need for your organization and your program in order for somebody to write for you, because they have to write based on what you do and what you have to offer. Now, truth, you must be fundable before you are fundable on paper. So in actuality, you have to have done the things to get you funding. So what makes an organization fundable? Well, we talked earlier about your clear, specific mission statement. Make sure your mission statement tells exactly what you do, and it is not like 15 or 20 different things that you do. Narrow it down. And if you need help, let ChatGPT help you make your mission more specific. It can help you with that. You need to have a documented need. A lot of times we have not done need assessments before we start our organizations. So we're trying to find people who need our services. You should have had documented need before you started. So you need to go back and document that there's a need for what you offer. You should have aligned programs. Not only should they align with the funders, but internally, your mission statement and your programs should have an alignment. You should be able to look at your goals and objectives and know that that aligns with your programs, because all of that is going to come into play as you start writing and answering the questions for your grants. Once again, strong financials. Make sure you've gotten the profit and loss statement, your cash flow statements, your balance sheet. Make sure you have somebody who's monitoring your finances, the income as well as the revenues. All right. Track records of results. A lot of times people start a nonprofit and the first thing, no, you need to get a track record. You need to have gotten out there and done some work and have a proven track record. So when you're trying to explain to the funders your value to the community, they can see from your track record things that you've done before, events that you've documented, outcomes that you've shown, that you have actually done some things in the community and you're making a difference. Once again, we talk about the leadership capacity. You should have people leading your organization who have worked with nonprofits before, who know how to manage, who know how to do the things that show that you are a reputable nonprofit. You need to be ready to report. Once you get that funding, they're going to start checking on you to find out if you're keeping your timeline, if you're spending the money the way you said you were going to spend it. You generally will have a midterm report and a final report that you have to turn into them. And that will account for your budget as well as the things that you said you were going to do and the number of people that you said you were going to reach. And then the funder fit. That's just the alignment piece once again, making sure that you align with the right funders for the organization and the work that you're doing. Now, this is a mini assessment, just a few questions that I'm going to tell you that I give you a full assessment when you work with me, but this is just some of the questions that I would ask you. Do you have a written program plan? Your program plan should be written out and it should be detailed. Do you have a project-specific budget? As we talked earlier, you should have a budget for each project or program that you have, so you'll know what your funding needs are. Are you tracking your outcomes? What are you doing in the community? What difference are you making? If you disappeared today, who would miss you and why? And do you know what organizations are funding the work that you do? These are things that you need to think about. These are just some of the things that my services, the Infopreneurs, do, and I will go through this very quickly. We can help you with grant readiness assessments. We can help you with strategic planning, funding strategies, and a funding strategy. Once you get grant ready, that's the first thing you need to do is get a funding strategy. That will have your organization will be matched with all of the grantors out there that fund what you fund. So you're not chasing all over the place. You will know specifically those that actually fund what you do. We offer comprehensive grant writing services. So if you're ready for grants and you're ready for the narratives and the budget, sustainability plans, all of that, we do that as well. And grants management. We can help you once you get the money, because getting the grant is the first piece, but keeping the grant and managing the grant are things that you have to do as you go along. But for you tonight, because you are ABC members, I have a special package for you. There's a grant readiness jumpstart package, which will give you individual coaching. I'll give you a checklist so you'll know all the things that I told you that you needed plus some. And then I'll give you kind of a roadmap of what you need to do to get yourself grant ready. Plus, if you take a future service, you will get a $50 credit towards that. This is a $97 package, and it expires on July the 3rd. This is a code, a QR code. If you scan this code, it will take you to my website. You can see what else we do, but you can also sign up for the class if you'd like to do that. Or you can schedule just a consultation with me to just talk about where you are. And once again, I am Rosalind Lett from the Infopreneurs. My phone number is here. Be sure to give me a call. Thank you so much for your attention and your time. I know we went through a lot in a small period of time, but I do offer classes where we can get more in depth and we can do some hands-on where you can really learn how to do what you need to do. So at this point, I will entertain your questions. What questions do you have?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Rosalind, thank you so much. I was down here taking my notes to make sure we are grant ready my way. And so thank you for offering to take our questions, asking if you all want to share some or ask, excuse me, if you all want to ask Rosalind some questions, I'm getting a little tongue-tied, it's dinner time. Please put them in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, then you can do that as well. So I will be fielding the chat, Rosalind, so you won't have to. I think I heard, yes. So Erica Joan asked, can you put your website in the chat? So we know that you did. I'll share the QR code, but is it possible to put the link in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. We'll give her a moment to do that before, Chiquita, I see your question as well. We'll give her a moment to put that website link in the chat.
Okay, it's in there.
Perfect, okay. And Chiquita asked, will we get a copy of your presentation?
Yeah, you can get a copy of the presentation. I'll send it to you, Rita, and you can figure out how we get it out to them.
Okay, so if you are signed up, and we hope that everyone signed up, because of course we won't have your information. We're just going to send it out to those who joined us today. I'll put that sign-in sheet link once again in the chat. So make sure that you sign in, and we'll get the presentation to those who joined us tonight. All right, Sheena asked, do you have a grant site you recommend to see grants?
Well, the caveat to the grant sites is that most of them that are really, really good are not free. There are some that are less expensive, like Grant Station, Grant Watch. They are a little bit less expensive, but the ones that I use are Candid. But one thing about Candid, check with your local public library. They may subscribe to Candid, and if so, you can go to the library and use it in the library, but you wouldn't be able to use it remotely. There's another one called Instrumental, which is very, very, very expensive, but very, very, very good, and it has a lot of extra bells and whistles. But the biggest problem with finding grants is that most of the databases are fee-based, so you have to pay to search the database. So you really need to make sure that you know exactly what you're searching for before you get in there and spend money searching and wasting your time.
Thank you so much for that, Rosalind.
Mhm.
All right, I think those are all the questions that I see in the chat. Are there any more questions that we want to ask our expert this evening?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, so Rosalind, great presentation, by the way.
Thank
Not
you.
just because you're our fellow leadership partner, but it was really great. But I have a question. So when you were talking about as far as creating the programs, is there a certain time frame that number one, your nonprofit should be in, in status or in proper status as far as having a 501c3 before you create the program? And I know you had said to make sure that you're solving a problem. So in creating that program, do you have to have a timeline? Do you have to have everything kind of laid out before you actually apply for the grant? Or what's a quick little, couple of steps that you need to kind of have in place to create a great program?
You do need to have the program in place before you're applying for the grant, because most of the grants that are out there are for programs. They will fund programs. They're not necessarily funding personnel or operating costs. There are some that do operating costs, but not a whole lot. They're harder to find. But the majority of the grants that are out there fund programs. So what you need to do is kind of start from the beginning. Look at your mission, set up your goals and objectives, and then from there, once you know what your goals and objectives are, think about what programs logically spin off from there. So say, for instance, if your organization serves food disparities, okay, you may have a program that's an outreach program for food service. So you may have food banks or food pantries or this kind of thing as one of your programs or one of the parts of your program. But your program itself is that we're trying to alleviate food disparities.
Okay.
And then underneath there, you would have all of these activities and events that you do. But you need to define that based on what your goals and objectives are for your organization, based on your mission. So everything ties back to the mission and what you have put in your initial documents. And then you can spin off your programs, because as you move along, you may see a need for additional programs. So you're not locked into a time frame, but before you apply for a grant, you need to have outlined and detailed that program and have a logic model that tells you what pieces of that program you want to apply for, or whether you want to apply for the whole program funding.
Awesome. That makes sense. Yeah, because that's kind of where I see myself heading is like, you're creating a program and then you're noticing that another program may come from that, because we're now in the educational space. So just
Okay.
wanted to kind of see, do I need to lay out how long, we're going to do this, or a specific target of people? But yeah, so I think,
Specific targets of people, but not necessarily how long, because
okay.
you may not know starting out how many people there are out there that actually will need that service. And you may end up, you may have thought it was a 2-year program, but it ends up being a 10-year program. So you don't have to, when you write a grant, they will ask you for timelines, but that's timelines for a specific program run. So see, if the grant is for a year, they want to know from the time you get the grant to the end of that year, what things you're going to do. So you're going to lay those out. So in the first quarter, we're going to do planning or this and that. In the second quarter, we're going to go out in the community and do this, that, but you would lay all of that stuff out on the timeline. So one, you can know when you get to those milestones yourself. And then when they ask you, are you meeting your numbers? Are you meeting your timeline? You can look back at those activities that you have spelled out and know that you're on track. And a lot of times what you'll find, once you've written the grant and you start implementing it, something happens that throws you off track. When that happens, you need to communicate with your funder and say, okay, this has happened and now we're off track, but this is how we're going to get back on track, or this is what we're going to pivot to because that we initially wrote is not going to work. So they are flexible enough that things are going to get in the way. So they know that there are going to be some things that will happen, but you will have the opportunity to kind of explain those things to them.
Awesome. Thank you. And Rita, I think
You're
I saw
welcome.
Monique with her hands up.
I do,
Okay.
but before we go to Monique, Felicia put a question in the chat. For a new board, what is the best way to find a qualified board?
I can answer that if that's, is
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
okay? Do you have, so to find a qualified board member, first of all, do not choose your family members. Do not choose your friends. These have to be non-partial, qualified individuals. And as Rosalind said, they need to align with your initiatives. So that means skilled people, people that would bring value to your board. So if you need someone, for instance, Rosalind, she'd be a great board member because she's a grant writer. So you would need to have a board application. And in that board application, you need to have qualifications for what you expect of that board member. And once you acquire that, then you need to actually interview that board member. I would interview them more than once. I would interview them on a professional level, and then again, interview them on a personal level. And because you want to find out as much as you can about that person prior to bringing them on your team. After, I would also highly encourage you to ensure that there is, first of all, there is a young lady by the name of Camilla Brown Washington. She actually does, and I don't know if she's still doing it, but she did a master class on nonprofits and how to choose board members. One of the main keys that she stressed is that if your board member cannot bring value to the table, let's see, like Rosalind clearly stated about your budget. So you need to look at your budget and you need to divide that up by how many board members you need on your team in order for your organization to be effective. And let's say that your annual dues, let's say after you look at your budget, if each board member brought $5K annually to the table, then that would sustain your organization. So that board member either needs to bring in $5K monetarily or in kind. So if they bring in $5K in kind, that means they would either go out and look for sponsorship or look for a grant writer or look for some type of funding that would be $5,000, equivalent to $5,000, or they would give you some type of service. For instance, Rosalind's service, let's say she charged $5,000, or she's given a $97 discount. Thank you for that, Rosalind. That's wonderful. But based on her fee and her rate card, let's say that it was $1,000. Well, that $1,000 would go toward her board member fee, and then she would be responsible for the remaining $4,000. So you have to, when choosing board members, you need to find people that meet the needs of your organization and that are aligned with your initiatives. And I also know that the United Way trains executives to be board members. So that's
Yes,
a
they
great
do.
place to start. And to actually, and it's probably going to be a pool of people that you have to go through. But what you do is you filter through them based on the needs of your organization.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Phenomenal information. And I see that you and Tamira were working in concert because she put the link in the chat for the United Way. So that is absolutely perfect. And we'll take, so thank you, Pamela, for that tag team. And we're gonna kick this last question to Rosalind. Rosalind, Monique asked, does anyone have a template for a logic model by chance?
Yes, I do. So if you get in touch with me, I can share that with you.
Okay. All right. Hey, that was short and sweet. Thank you.
There's
Thank
one
you.
other
Thank
source for
you.
looking for board members. It's called Board Source. It's an online resource, but you can kind of check there to see, and tell them what you need, because you do need to look for specific folks for your board. Like you need a bookkeeper, you need somebody to help you with your books. You're going to need an attorney so you can get some internal advice before you have to pay. So there are a number of folks that you definitely need on your board. And you want to make sure everybody on your board is working and active, and that they're giving, even if they're giving at a small amount, because when people are looking at the funders are looking at you to give you money, they're going to look at your board and see who's on your board, and then they're going to ask you what % of your board is giving to your organization. So if you have a low give or get or no give or get, but your board are all contributing, you can say 100%, and that looks a whole lot better than 10%.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. I do agree. There's some phenomenal comments coming in the chat, Rosalind, just really affirming your knowledge and thanking you for the information. My dad even said awesome presentation, but there's been a lot of awesomes. Thank you so much. Valuable information.
And one more thing, in July or August, I haven't decided which, I'm going to offer a grant writing class. One is going to be a beginner's class, so if you're needing to get grant ready, that will help you with that. And the other one will be, if you are grant ready, we start to look at how do you now write a compelling narrative? How do you set up your budget and your budget narrative? How do you do your sustainability plan? So all the other pieces that you need after you have become grant ready and you're ready to write. So I will advertise those through the ABC and also on my website. So just kind of check in with me, or just send me your information in the chat or whatever, or in the text, and then I will send you information about those classes when they're available.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. And Rosalind, we appreciate it, because sometimes people will have the knowledge, get all of the money for themselves, but won't share and empower others. And so we really are just so grateful for your sharing tonight, and just glad to be on the leadership team with you as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you all as well, because I realized that we as African Americans only get about 1% of the grant money that's out there. There's an enormous amount of money out there, and it's time for us to start getting our fair share. So part of my goal is to train and teach 2,030 African Americans by the year 2030 how to become grant ready and fundable. So thank you guys for being a part of my numbers tonight.
Yay. All right. Thank you so much, Rosalind. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're going to turn it over to Shirley for our drop one and look ahead.
All right. Awesome. Are you able to reshare the slides?
I see them. Can you all see them?
No.
Oh, do you see Rosalind's slides?
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay, let me put
because I have just been advancing and looking at the slides. So thank you for that.
That's not a problem. Well, I can go ahead and kick it off. So, guys, I pray that you guys enjoyed the information that we shared tonight. We wanted to, as the leadership team was having conversation on how the calls should go, we want to make sure that your information is never lost in the sauce, okay? And at the same time, just having the clarity that Rosalind was just referring to earlier, as far as what it is that you are looking for, particularly in this time when it comes to your nonprofit. As most of you guys who have nonprofits, matter of fact, if there's anyone here who doesn't have a nonprofit as of yet, but you're thinking about having a nonprofit, say me in the chat. Say me in the chat if there's anybody that is just thinking about having a nonprofit but don't have a nonprofit yet, just put me in the chat. Okay, so like Michelle. So a lot of people here can actually admit to Michelle that, listen, when it comes to a nonprofit, there are so many things that we have to think about, look into, especially when it comes to events, especially when it comes to how to grow it, especially like one of the questions when it comes to the board. Your brain is all over the place, but a confused mind does nothing. So this is a designated time that we have now put in play, where all our nonprofit leaders, it's time for you to promote your organization, but in a very stylish way, okay? So this is how we're gonna do it. In the chat, I want you to go ahead and put your name. Oh, I had updated this. So your name, your contact info, your nonprofit, the name of your nonprofit, your website, and your one ask. Like, what is your one ask for maybe an event that you have coming up, or that one particular ask? Because sometimes you don't necessarily have an event coming up, but you have things that you're working on. So, i.e., maybe you're looking for volunteers because you're looking to establish committees or whatever the case may be. Or i.e., you're looking for a grant writer because now you're ready to position your grants. Or i.e., you're looking to put together your program. So you're looking for better board members. Whatever that one ask may be, go ahead and put that in a sentence form and drop it in the chat. If you have a flyer for your event, one flyer is what we're asking for you to drop that information in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead.
When is my son prescription ready?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chicky. Okay. All right. So I thought she had a question, but I'm going to go ahead and put my one, drop one to kind of give you guys an example. So for example, Yay Foundation, and it is Yay, like Yay, Foundation is having our 3rd annual Yay Foundation Fundraising Awards Gala. So I dropped the flyer in the chat. I put my name, I put my best contact info, put the name of the nonprofit, the website, as well as the one big ask, which is your support coming out and, of course, sharing the event. So if you have a nonprofit, this is the opportunity, because it was only one person that said they didn't have a nonprofit. So I should see this chat blowing up, but the chat is not blowing up, Rita. I don't know why the chat's not blowing up. Okay, there it is. Now it's starting to go. Okay, I see you guys. You know what? You guys are great students. That's what it was. You was waiting for the instructions. I think that's what it was, Rita. They were waiting for the instructions. So yeah, so definitely this is what we want to continue to do. So I want you guys to just continue to think about that every time that you come on a call, or anytime that you're in any space, especially me as someone who wear a lot of different hats. I mean, just in ABC alone, I wear several hats. So you can only imagine my mind is always thinking about different things. But if you can just think about that one big ask that you have, then people are now more concentrated on what exactly that you need. So, and then now we want to go ahead and look ahead into the future. As you guys continue to put your information in the chat, I want you guys to mark your calendars from now, okay, for July 24th. That is our next huddle event. And I think we got, I'm not sure if it's me or Pam, but somebody really amazing that's going to be on the lineup to actually share some information with you guys. Every time that we come on this call, we want to give you information that will propel you forward in this space. I mean, we do a lot to take care of the world and take care of others in our nonprofit space. So we definitely want to be able to pour that back into you. So therefore you don't make those, mistakes and different moves that a lot of people are just dealing with and always kind of thinking about. So for our next icebreaker, we want you to identify your type of nonprofit. This also is going to help us curate the next huddles that we have, events that we're looking to have in the future, our programs, our courses, all the things that we want to bring under the umbrella when it comes to ABC. So is your nonprofit an educational nonprofit? Do you have an environmental nonprofit? Is it just you're within the charitable space and you just want to give back? Is it a religious arm, a health arm, a cultural arm, a youth advocacy, whatever it may be, a sports arm, whatever that may be?
Am I frozen? Am I frozen or is she frozen?
She frozen.
Oh, okay. Look, because my system freezes over here, but she did a phenomenal job with that. Thank you so much, Shirley. And really that's the end of our agenda for tonight. We do want to give I know that we're meeting virtually, but want to have some opportunities for some of our huddles for there to be some connection and some networking within the breakout rooms. So if you'll just be thinking about, once again, as she said, what is your type of nonprofit? Because we're going to drop everyone into breakout rooms according to the type of nonprofit that you have, so you can connect with others who are like-minded in their missions. So thank you so much. We appreciate Rosalind once again for just immersing us into some knowledge that will help us to be grant ready and fundable. I love that you dispelled those myths, and I think we all have at least one next step, one goal, one challenge that we need to give ourselves in order to make sure our organizations are in line for those $1 million grants as well. So thank you
Let
all
me add
for
one more thing.
Yes, yes, please.
That one last thing, as you talked about breaking off into the groups, the funders are looking for collaborations. So you need to identify other organizations that you can collaborate with when you write the grants. They are looking for unique collaborations. And that means not everybody doing the same thing, but some people who they would question, I wonder why they partner with these folks. And then you have pleasantly surprised them with the answer to that question. So think about collaborating with other nonprofits, because this is how you get funding.
Perfect. All right. So that's a great note to end on. Good evening to all of you good people. Stay safe, be impactful, and we will see you next month on the 24th. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.